Hey guys, this is Connor, here for Connor's English Corner, episode number 8, for December 18th, 2017. Sorry we didn't get one out last week, between finals and the Monster Hunter World beta. I didn't really have time. So, we are here this week, and I want to start off before I get into this deck discussion by saying one of the big draws to Weiss, and what a lot of people get into the game for, is to play a deck for the anime they really like. So of course, if you really like an anime, even if it's a really bad deck, I'm not going to tell you, don't play that deck. Because if that's why you're having fun, because you're playing your favorite anime, go for it. Like, all day. Just play whatever. Play Disgaea, play Haruhi, I don't care. However, that does not mean I recommend these decks for tournaments, especially large, like, regional size tournaments. Some decks just are incredibly outdated and not up to par. That being said, today we're talking about Haruhi. Yeah, a lot of people have been requesting this, and I kind of understand why. It's popular, it's old, it's unique, it has some interesting effects. It's also very bad, unfortunately. It's just a lot of outdated cards. This set came out in 2009 in Japan, and got an extra booster not too long after with a couple of better cards, but that's 8, almost 9 years ago now, closer to 8. Some of these cards just are not where they need to be for today's meta, but a lot of people really like Haruhi. A lot of people are going to play the deck anyway, so I'm going to make a video on it. You might as well try to make the deck as good as possible if you're going to play it. I'm talking about the SOS Brigade deck. A lot of people like Alien. I think Alien's potentially better than SOS Brigade, but at the same time I think Alien's also, like, super straightforward to build. Like, there's only so many Alien cards that you have access to, so you just play the level 3s, you play your level 1 vanillas, you play your backups, and you play generic zeros. Like, that deck's super straightforward, so I'm not going to talk about it. I'll talk about it in the future if you guys really want me to. But right now I'm talking about the SOS Brigade deck, because I think it's a little more interesting. We got a deck overview, with cons entirely outweighing the pros, but okay, when my presentation didn't save earlier, we actually lost one of the pros here. So the pros of the deck, you have anti-climax effects. The one we're missing is that you can dodge on reverse effects, kind of, sometimes. You have a plussing 2-soul combo. I'm not sure that plussing is quite the right word, but it's technically card advantage, so we're going to go with it. You have a healer that might also count as a finisher, depending on what you count as a finisher. Cons to the deck. Almost none of your effects are selective. The best forms of advantage you have are just your cards staying alive. You have very few advantage engines. Also, pretty much only your cards staying alive. There's a couple of cards in this set that are like pay to rest itself to, like, search or salvage. These are both selective and advantage engines, and also have costs that the deck can absolutely not keep up. So, yeah, you can try those. You can use them every couple of turns, but they're not going to be, like, something you're slamming every turn like Cont does. Your characters are relatively low power, because back in this time, Bushiroad thought it was a good idea to print 1/1s with soul triggers, and 1,000 less power than they should actually have. We don't get those anymore, but back then, that was pretty a common thing. Your 1/1 vanillas were like 1/1 6Ks with soul triggers. So yeah, that's unfortunate. It makes the deck a little hard to build, especially from, like, a power standpoint. The deck is largely reliant on sticking, like, large soul attacks. You're playing a +2 soul, so you're just swinging out a lot of the time and just hoping it works. If your opponent cancels well, you just probably lose, but maybe not. You have a couple of interesting cards in here that can maybe save you from that. And the traits in this set are atrocious. This was still during the period when Bushiroad was traiting cards based on what was actually on the card's art, instead of based on like what the character was. So we have cards in here with just like random traits, and if it's a card with 2 traits, sometimes one of those just random traits overwrites a trait that we really needed to be on the card that should have been on the card. And you'll see that as I talk about a couple of cards later. So this set is, a lot of it I'm assuming was made to balance the deck out when it initially came out in Japan, because this deck was actually really good. It had a couple of banned cards, still does. But 8 years later, a lot of these balancing mechanisms actually just weaken the deck to a point where it's not amazing. But it does have a couple of pros. It has really unique pros. Anti-climax is not something that most series can do. In fact, only like one other series in the game can do, which also happens to be in English, but we'll forget about that for now. So here's the deck list. Very simple. Lots of just like 3 and 4 ofs. Since we don't have selective card advantage, we just want to be able to draw stuff, and go from there. You can see there's a 3 color level 1, just because I couldn't actually find a color that had more than 1 playable card. That's actually not true. These are just the 3 best cards. Like, the 2 of them, the yellow and red, are both, if you're familiar with Project Diva, time machine sort of effects. That's going to be our main source of advantage. The green one is just the next best beater, and also green color fix for our level 3. Deck's a little thin on yellow. Unfortunately, there's not very much yellow color fix. Like, can probably go up on counts for the stock bomb and some other stuff, but we'll talk about that again at the end after I go over what all these cards individually do. Strangely enough, like, I say this deck's really terrible, but there are some really functional cards in here that do really cool things, so it's not all bad. First up, we have Christmas Party, Kyon's sister. This is a 0/0. It bonds to a card that we don't play. I'm pretty sure usual Kyon is a level 2. Clock bonding a level 2 is something you... Oh, no, maybe it's not the level 2. I don't know which one it is. We don't play it. It's not a particularly great card. This card is in the deck because it's a Brainstorm, and it's pretty much like... Haruhi has no plussing Brainstorms, so it's just all spammable ones. And this is the best spammable one we have access to. So pay 1, you reveal 4 cards from the top of your deck, put them into your waiting room. For each climax revealed, you choose a character with Kyon in its card name, and that character gets +1 soul until end of turn. So, if we go back here, oh, my mouse does pop up, there we go. Okay, so your Brainstorm has Kyon in name. This 1/1 has Kyon in name. The Stock Bomb has Kyon in name. So, like, your 3 yellow cards have Kyon in name. But you'll always have one on stage if you're brainstorming, because the Brainstorm itself has Kyon in name and can pump itself soul. So, yay. This is more just to, like, mill your deck if you're in a bad spot. Also, yellow color fix. Mikuru Asahina. This is going to be one of our main advantage engines, strangely enough. The beginning of your Encore step, you can pay 2, choose one of your characters and this card, put them in your memory. At the beginning of your next draw phase, put those characters from your memory onto separate positions of your stage, and those characters get +1000 power until end of turn. So basically what this does is, after you swing out, even if you crash your characters, it doesn't matter if they're reversed or not, since it's the beginning of Encore step. You just pay 2, send 2 to memory, and then bring them back at draw step. So it's effectively a cost, or it's effectively pay 2, Encore 2. Downside being that you open up a direct attack slot, so your opponent's pushing more damage. Upside being that your opponent can't reverse you if you don't have characters, so you can dodge on reverse effects. Sort of a trade-off. It keeps your cards alive. That's why we're playing it. Haruhi just can't. Alien can play a wall game, SOS Brigade can't, so we kind of need this. You're not going to be doing it every turn because you have other cards that do the same thing for not 2 stock, but when you can't resolve those, you can use this to sort of just keep your stuff alive. Also, coming back with 1000 power means we can usually at least kill our opponent's cards. Hopefully. We also have SOS Brigade's Mascot, Mikuru. It's a 0/0 This also helps us kill things. When we play an SOS Brigade character from hand or memory, it gains 1000 power and the T trait. T does actually nothing. Most characters in the deck are SOS Brigade. Not all of them, but enough that whenever you play one, it gains 1,000 power from hand or memory. So if we use the Mikuru Asahina, and we pay 2, send it to memory, when it comes back, it'll gain 1,000 from the Mikuru that sent it there, and it'll gain another 1,000 from the Mascot Mikuru. So we can just pump a bunch of power. Next we have Hot Springs Haruhi. This is a level 0 bomb. Normally not a huge fan of playing these, but options. We don't have many of them. This is actually one of the better level 0 bombs, all things considered. When it becomes reversed, you can give an SOS Brigade character 1,500 power. So you can bomb something and then make something else big enough to kill its opponent. Alternatively, if your opponent is swinging into you and they kill this, you can pump a different character. Of course, all they have to do is like side attack it or attack it last, and that doesn't matter. But there's a neat interaction with the next card, Primp and Proper Haruhi. When this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, choose one of your other characters, rest it, move it to an open position of your backstage. So you can use the bomb to bomb something, the Hot Springs Haruhi, and then you get reversed. Activate the bomb effect, reverse their character. Then, since you were reversed, you can give 1,500 power to the Primp and Proper Haruhi so that it kills its battle opponent. And then you use its effect to rest your bomb, so you get to keep your bomb and just like kill things, which is really neat. Also, you have a lot of cards that just want to sit in the back row in this deck. We have assists. We have the Mikuru that sends things to memory. You might not want to field just in case you need it later and you don't really have ways to get stuff back. So you might not want to like swing out with it early in case it dies, or just any of your assists or the Mascot. You might want to sit in back row just as a sort of passive power pump. So this lets you field those things in the front row. You can swing with them, and then when Primp and Proper gets her kill, you can just move that thing back to your back row to keep it safe. So this lets you sort of be more aggressive early on, and I really like this profile for letting you do that. Next we have Flowers in Both Hands Haruhi. This is a really good card, strangely enough. Like, this card's actually really good. Issue being, it interacts with door triggers, and Haruhi only has 1. So it's a 500 assist, which is just a generic 500 assist. Doesn't need traits, thank God. Second effect, when you trigger check a climax, if it has a comeback or door trigger, which is the salvage one, you can pay 1 to choose one of your opponent's front row level 1 or lower characters and put it into their waiting room. This is pretty neat. The way the timing works, so this auto abilities like this, once they prime, they can't resolve until the next check timing. During trigger step, you reveal the top card of your deck, you resolve its trigger, then you put it to stock, then you get a check timing. So when you pay 1, you'll always be paying out the door that you trigger checked. So it keeps the climax out of your stock. Also kills a thing. This is nice against Attack on Titan mostly. If you trigger a door, you can kill an Aaron. Nice. Yeah, that's pretty cool. You can also just kill various other level 1s. Bang Dream's giant 1/1s you can kill. Soundless Voice, if they don't have the plus level assist, you can actually kill their Soundless Voice dudes, their lens. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It does good things. We play 4 of this because it's an assist, and it does good things. Unfortunately, we can only play 4 doors because there's only 1 door in Haruhi. So it's not super consistent, but it's there when we want it. Well, it's always there. When we get it, we always have it, hopefully. Good card. Our last level 0 is more yellow color fix. Kyon Koizumi. It's a stock bomb. This is also really nice with the Primp and Proper, because you can stock bomb something and then save your stock bomb to use it again. Unfortunately, the stock bomb doesn't power pump your Primp and Proper like the regular bomb does, so that's why we're playing more of the regular bomb. But this one denies effects like Inazuma and stuff like that. Though it is also 1,500 power, so a lot of the 1K cards like Sitting Maya and stuff like that, you still can't deny, just because you're too big. So that's why we're not like super focused on playing more copies of it. For level 1, this is our main level 1. Unseen Trust, Haruhi, and Kyon. It's a 1/155 with a soul trigger. Yeah, so it's kind of small. But at the beginning of your Encore step, if a card named Haruhi Suzumiya's Good News, which is a yellow +2 soul climax, is in your climax area, you can put this card into your memory. So it doesn't matter whether you're reversed or standing or rested or whatever. Hopefully you're not standing, but it doesn't matter if you crash or whatever. You just go to memory, and then at the beginning of your next draw phase, you choose a card named Unseen Trust, Haruhi, and Kyon from your memory, put it on any stage position, and it gains 3,000 power. So you come back as an 85. If you have the Mascot Mikuru, you come back as a 95, which is big. You can kill things. So you might not kill things on the first go around, but when you come back, you can kill things, which is more relevant because you if you hit level 1 first, you can just field this, kill like a level 0, and then go off to memory. Your opponent can't get a reverse combo on you because you're in memory, and then you come back as like a 95 and kill their stuff. So it's pretty good. This is how we generate advantage by not having our characters die. When they go to memory, they can't die, so they just come back and they're free beaters, basically. So same general idea as the level 0 Mikuru, but this is on a climax combo instead of paying 2 stock. We also have usual Haruhi, which is the same sort of effect. It goes to memory and comes back at draw phase, but this one activates when it reverses its battle opponent. So this one does have to reverse, which is why we're only playing 3 of it. But this is also a good, just like, if you hit level 1 and your opponent still has 0s on the board, you can play this, reverse them, you go off to memory. So that's basically a +1 because your character's not dying. Unfortunately, when you come back, you're only going to be like 5 or 6k, which is unfortunate, but against decks like Sword Art, you might still be able to like snipe out a kill here and there, against like a random Yuki on the side lane, things like that. Last, we have Flower Viewing Mikuru. When this is placed on stage from hand, choose one of your Time or SOS Brigade characters, and it gets 1500 power until end of turn. So it can pump itself up to a 6k, or you can pump your usual Haruhi so that it gets a kill and goes off to memory easier. You can also pump Primp and Proper. I don't know how often you'll get it big enough to actually kill something, but you can pump Primp and Proper to try to kill something and like save a random character. That's still a +1, so that's still a good play, I guess. You just have a lot of like low quality advantage by keeping characters alive. That's all this deck does. Is just you try to keep as many characters alive as possible. This is also, if you pump yourself, you go up to 6k, but then you also probably go up to 7k from having a Mascot on board. So you can kill things. We just kill things and get low quality pluses. That's what the deck does. This is our only level 2 card. One copy of Nagato and Koizumi in the Clubroom. It's a backup, 2500 backup. When you play the backup effect, you can discard a card. Choose up to 2 cards in your opponent's waiting room, return them to your opponent's deck, and shuffle his or her deck. Typically, you're just going to play this before you try to kill your opponent and send 2 characters back to their deck. Very, very minor decompression, but it exists. Also, this is often just going to be a counter that you play to save a level 3. Alternatively, if your opponent only has like 2 cards left in deck and they swing at you, and then you play this and put a climax back in their deck and they trigger check it, feels really good. But if they don't trigger check it, then they just cancel your attack, and then it feels really bad. But, you know, I guess like, so if your opponent has 3 attacks and only 2 cards left in deck, they trigger check 1 with their first attack. You shuffle the climax back into their deck. And then they have to trigger check the climax. So now they're not refreshing with it. So that's a play. Like really niche plays. This is also yellow color fix. Might be the main reason it's in here. So yeah, we're just playing 1 copy. So this level 3 is, in my opinion, one of the biggest reasons to play Haruhi. Cat Ears Mikuru. Like, let's be real. If you're playing... Okay. If you're playing Haruhi, you're probably playing it because you like Haruhi. But if you're playing it because of the deck, this is the card you're playing it for, probably. Cat Ears Mikuru The character facing this card gets -1 soul. Pretty typical. Normally not considered a very good effect. On this card, it's kind of relevant because of the second effect. When this card is placed on the stage from your hand, you can pay 1. If you do, until the end of your opponent's next turn, your opponent cannot play climax cards from hand. So, well, A, your opponent is now always swinging for 0 or 1 against your Mikuru, because they can't play a climax to boost their soul. Also, though, your opponent can't climax combo. They can't play their Akagis to clock kick you. They can't play Yami to get all their shots. They can't get extra burns off of Mikasa. They can't do their Megumin burns or whatever. They can't Sin on you. Like, you just block all of these climax combos. So if your opponent is Sword Art, their turn goes from being 4-3, 4-3-3 to like 1-2-2. So that's that's really good. You block out a ton of potential damage with this. Like Tolovru, instead of being a potential like 3-1 or 3-1, 3-1-1, 3-1-1, it's all of a sudden like 1-2-2, and that's it. So you block out a ton of damage. This keeps you alive. This makes your opponent's endgame as bad as your own. Actually worse than your own even, because we have a finisher kind of. So yeah, this card's great. We play 3 because you always want to see it. That you always want to field 1. You're not fielding more than 1 because it doesn't actually do anything besides stop the climax. You're just fielding 1 to get that effect. This is our other level 3, Trouble Girl Haruhi. When this card is placed on stage from your hand or by a change effect, you can put the top card of your clock into your waiting room. We don't care about the change effect because we're never really going into this at level 2. We're just playing it at level 3 to heal. And also climax combo with our door. When this attacks, deal 1 damage to your opponent. We've seen this recently on Mikasa. I'm sure everyone knows how powerful of a finisher Mikasa is. This, unfortunately, does not get the second effect where you can burn again, but this can burn 1. So if you get your sort of ideal level 3 turn, you're going like burn 1, hit for 3, burn 1, hit for 3, hit for 3, or something. It's not amazing. But when your opponent can't respond with their own finisher, a turn or 2 of this can actually manage to kill them and you not die, just because they can't really hit you hard back. So this will always be better than your opponent's non-climax play. Or, well, it will usually be better. Some decks, Goddess Konosuba has Eris that doesn't need a climax. Mikasa can still technically pay 2 to burn 1 without a climax. So there's a couple things like that. But generally, the Mikuru Haruhi combination gives you a relatively good top end. Relative being to your opponent's not being able to play a climax. We played 2 copies of I'm Not Interested in Ordinary Humans. You might recognize this from Tolovru, the 1-1 search to discard 1 event. This is basically the same thing, but it requires you to have a brigade leader on your stage, and then you can only search for SOS Brigade. I don't know if anyone's been paying attention to traits as I've been flipping through these, but if you notice, neither of our level 3s are SOS Brigade. Why this Haruhi card got Book instead of SOS Brigade, I'll never know. But thanks, Bushiroad. And then this is like animal trait because of the cat ears instead of being time SOS Brigade like all the other Mikurus. So, unfortunately we can't search a lot of things, but we can search some things. We can search our level 1, our yellow 1-1. We can actually search all 3 of our level 1 characters. So that's mainly what this is for. It's just getting your level 1 characters. You can search, if I flip back through these real quick, you can search Kyon Koizumi, which is not super important. You can search this if you need one for some reason. You can search Primp and Proper. You can search Hot Springs. You cannot search Mascot, unfortunately, but you can search Mikuru Asahina, which is probably your next most important target after your level 1s. So it's just search 2 of those and then discard 1. And then we have our climaxes. We have a yellow +2 soul, and we have a red door. So those are our 2 climax combos. As far as other options go, obviously there's the whole alien deck, like I mentioned. I'm not really going to cover most of those options, but Santa Girl, Haruhi, and Kyon. So the second effect, when this card is frontal attack, look at the top card of your deck, put it on the top of your deck or into your waiting room. Also good for helping you stay alive. Unfortunately, though, the first effect just doesn't work with any of your other level 3s. So I don't think this card's worth playing, as opposed to just like healing twice and blocking out climaxes. Pay 5 once per turn when your battle opponent becomes reversed, if you have 4 or more other SOS Brigade characters. Pay 5, stand this card. Issue being, Trouble Girl, your red level 3, is not SOS Brigade, and the Cat Ear Mikuru, your green level 3, is also not SOS Brigade. So you can't play other level 3s with this card, which is just mind-boggling. So you're finished, and like, yeah, you can field a bunch of this card, but you're never restanding more than 1, because you're never going to have that much stock. So yeah, that's, thanks Bushiroad. We do have this, Waitress Mikuru. This card's pretty cool. It's a 2K. It has a change effect. At the beginning of Encore Step, if this card is rested, you can pay the cost. If you do, choose a card named Mikuru from the future in your waiting room, put it on the stage position this card was on. Mikuru from the future is this 1/0. It's a 45. It gains 1,000 if you have 5 or more stock, which might not ever happen, but the second effect is why you'd be playing it. When this card is put into your waiting room from the stage, you can pay 1 to choose Waitress Mikuru in your waiting room, put it on the stage position this card was on as rest. So they do have to stay in the same stage position the whole time, which means what's probably going to happen is you swing with the 0. Encore Step, you change into the 1. Your opponent kills the 1, and you just pay 1 to pull the 0 back out, which means you effectively encored a character for pay 1, clock 1, which is basically just a pay 1, clock 1 plus, which is technically Ricky, or like Krista, or whatever. Those cards are good because they're selective. This just gets you a 0/0 2K back. But it's a plus. It's a pay 1, clock 1 plus. So, might be worth mentioning. It's not like your other options are selective either. I don't know what 0 you'd take out for the Waitress Mikuru. You'd obviously just take out the other Mikuru for this 1/0 Mikuru. Or you could take out the usual Haruhi. I think those cards are just generally better pluses than this, though, because they don't deal damage to your... They don't directly deal damage to yourself. They just open up a direct slot where you probably take more damage. But they also have the benefit of potentially being able to deny reverse combos, so that's why I think they're better. We have Yuki Nagato is a 0/0. It's a 0/0 1500. You can play this as a level 0 oversize. It's only 15 on your own turn, but on the opponent's turn it goes up to 35. And it has character encore. So early game, if you field one of this, it might be hard for your opponent to kill. If your opponent does kill it, then you have character encore, so you can filter out like level 3s that you might not need yet, and just keep it alive. Also has SOS Brigade trait. This is the other card that's really notable from the set, besides the Cat Ears Mikuru. Funnily enough, it's notable for doing the exact same thing. I like Cat Ear Mikuru more, because Cat Ear Mikuru completely prevents your opponent from playing a climax. This only prevents your opponent from... this is counter step. It sends their climax back to waiting room. So if they're a 2k1, or like a split 2k1, or a stock soul or whatever, so like Mikasa, the 2000 and a soul would stay on both of the characters, even if you played this. This blocks 1k1s and +2 souls, but the other stuff it doesn't block. So they're still gonna get those. Any climax that's an auto effect, basically, the effect is gonna stay around even once you sack the climax. They just won't be able to combo with it. But like in Toloveru, if they play their combo and then you play this counter, they still get their first 2 shots on the board. Against Sword Art, they can Machine of Ice 1 lane, so they swing with that lane, burn 4, and then swing with their second lane, and since the combo's on attack, they still get to burn 4 again before you can counter. So they still get like 2 burn 4s with Xenon, or at least 1 if they don't Machine of Ice. Akagi actually doesn't get any clock kicks. It's mainly just on attack stuff. So like Mikasa still gets 1 burn. And I don't think they have anything that blocks counters. Anything too relevant that blocks counters. So you can knock that out on the first one. But they still get that 1 burn 1. Any of the on attacks just get that first use of it that makes this worse, in my opinion. Though this is costless. It's also blue, so you have to color fix for blue, which is easy to do in the alien deck because the whole deck's blue. Not as easy to do here. But yeah, so this card's notable. Just not as good, in my opinion. So this is the deck again. You can see the general strategy. Just get value out of your zeros. Primp and Proper is potentially a 4 of. I've got it at 3 right here, but you can, if you can find something to cut, it's potentially a 4 of. Maybe you can cut like a level 1 for another copy. The level 1s are just try to keep cards around. And then level 3, you just try to hope you can live by not letting your opponent play their effects. So overall, not an incredibly powerful deck. It doesn't have any effects that actually just like blow people out of the water or anything. But it is a coherent deck. It has cards that do things. So it could be worse. It could be worse. I've probably made this deck sound a lot worse than it actually is. But I do want to make sure nobody out there thinks that, like, don't try to take this to a regional if you plan on winning, please. It's just, the deck is not consistent enough, doesn't generate good enough advantage, etc., etc. However, the deck is fun to play. It does do unique things. If you like Haruhi, you'll probably enjoy the deck. So yeah. Yeah. Man. People are probably out there just sitting there like, why did he just spend half an hour talking about a deck that he thinks is terrible? But, you know, I can't just only talk about meta decks all day. So I think it's worth noting there are other decks out here. I think this is the kind of deck that I would take to like a shop challenge for spring, just to play, like, because it's a cool deck. It still does things. It's not a deck you see often. Top a shop challenge with it. Be like, hey, I won my shop challenge with Haruhi. Yeah, like, it's cool. It's a cool deck. And obviously, people that are big fans of Haruhi are going to be big fans of the deck. Have fun max raritying this deck, though. The 2 extra booster cards come foil, and 1 other card comes SP, and everything else is, like, uncommon. So, yeah, there you go. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll have something a little more, like, substantial in content soon. Between this and not uploading anything last week. Been a little lacking lately. But, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what other decks you want to see. Next time I do a deck discussion, it's going to be Sword Art, because we do, on Friday, get the Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale Booster. I don't know if I'll release any Sword Art next week, because it's supposed to be the monthly review, but maybe I'll surprise everyone with like 2 uploads or something. So, stay tuned, and thanks for watching. See you guys next time.